What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be doing the deep dive and taking a closer look at the swamp theme that we have for the 2025 Halloween yard haunt season. This is probably the biggest scene that we have. It takes up the entire left side of our yard, the side of our house, which is from here all the way down to the shack down there. So as you can see, it's a fairly large area. Our yard haunt has 3 different themes. We have a hospital in the front, which I just posted the deep dive video of this theme. So make sure you go check that out. And then on the far end, we have a funeral theme, and that video will be coming shortly. But in this video, I just wanted to give y'all a closer look at the behind the scenes of this entire section. How we built certain things, how we did certain things, how we lit it, certain props that we used to really tell the story and idea that we were going for. I just recently uploaded 2 videos. One was explaining the build of the swamp witch house, which you see right now. And the other one explains the build of the swamp shack that is right down there. So both of these are in the swamp section. So make sure you go check out the build videos on those. But in the main part of the swamp, we have a witch scene. Like I said, I've already uploaded a video on the build of the house, so I won't go into much detail there. But we knew we had to build a house for the witch. So I knew I wanted to do a swamp witch theme. So I was very happy with how this came out. Super eerie at night, looks super creepy, super old. I'll walk up here closer and show you a few details on the porch. Burlap hanging from the roof there, skull wind chime. We have a jack-o'-lantern flickering on the porch, as well as an old lantern with a light in it, and an old basket with a broom and a couple of bones sticking out. Flickering lantern behind the window there. But like I said, I went into detail on all of this in the witch house build video, so make sure you go watch that. Now, in terms of finding a witch for this scene, obviously this is probably the most important prop for this scene, because it's really going to tell a story that we're going for and present the idea to people. I originally was going to make a cauldron creep homemade, but unfortunately we ran out of time. I wasn't able to get the parts that were necessary for the build quick enough. So then I went online and started to try to find a few retail props that would really present the idea that we were going for. There wasn't very many. I knew I wanted to find one that had a stirring mechanism or something of that nature. So there wasn't really very many available that had that motion. But the one we decided to go with was the cauldroness. I'll walk up here and get you a closer look at her. I really like her because, as you can see, she does a hovering motion with her hand. It looks like she's kind of casting a spell on the cauldron. And she also pours the potion bottle into the cauldron that you see in her left hand there, which is a very awesome motion. You'll see it right here. Fall comes out. And then fall comes up from the cauldron that goes in front of her face. Super cool and super creepy mechanism there. I honestly didn't think that I would like her as much as I have. I wasn't a really big fan of her in the pictures, but once I got her in person and saw the motion that she does, I loved her a lot more. I definitely wasn't a big fan of the face sculpt, but honestly at night, with the flickering light we have on her and the motion that she does, it looks super cool and super creepy. So I'll get you one more look at her motion here.
Your soul now belongs to me.
The fall didn't come out that time because I ran it too quickly. But you can see, very cool motion, very classic Halloween. She really fits the scene well, and I love how she looks. Very cool witch prop, probably one of the best that we've gotten in retail. So now I've backed up to the road and I've got you a look at how she looks from a distance. Another important aspect that we had to consider was obviously the witch house that we built is not the same size as a regular house. It's about 12 foot by 12 foot. Still fairly big, but obviously not as big as a real house. So we couldn't have a 7-foot witch out here standing beside the house because the proportions wouldn't be right. So that obviously played a big role in picking this one as well, because I think she's about somewhere between 3 to 4 foot, probably closer to 3.5, somewhere in that area. So she really fit the scale better. As you can see, when she's standing beside the house, everything is scaled up better. If a huge witch was out here and a bigger prop, she would look probably as tall as the porch area there, and it wouldn't look right. Having her smaller here standing beside the house, everything is just proportioned better and it makes it look more real. I love how she looks in front of her house there. And I'll back up, or I'll come closer and get you a shot from this angle. She looks super cool and super creepy out here. In terms of placing her out here, we originally had her further away from the house. She was around that tree right there with the skull on it. But we've been experimenting putting her closer to the house where she is right now, probably about 3 feet away from the porch. I like this because I think it helps tell a better story. It lets people know when they look over here that this is her house and she's currently outside brewing something up in front of her house. When she was further away, it just wasn't telling the same story and it wasn't giving the same ideas. But I love having her closer. This makes everything more cohesive as well. But since we keep her closer to the house now, we had to fill the scene out with other props that really told her story and extended it further. So what we've done is we've cut down trees. We have a couple big ones, a couple small ones, and we actually made this one from scratch to really fill this scene out better and help it feel like a swamp. Because obviously trees are a big part of a swamp. So we had to get those up as well. So we've actually placed, we have a fairly large one on the right side of the house there in the corner. Then we have a smaller one right here with the blue light on it, closer to the porch. We have a really big one on the left side of the house right there, beside the porch. And then we actually made this one. This is like a voodoo tree.
Welcome.
You can see we placed the limbs on there in a creepy looking direction. We added some netting on here, swampy fish netting looking stuff. And we hot glued a styrofoam skull on top to give it a voodoo witch looking ideas. Obviously this is her tree right here, her witch tree. She looks super creepy going off there in front of the house, with the smoke coming out from the fog machine. Now, I wanted to place the larger trees back further, kind of near the back of the house, because obviously these are really big trees, so it plays into perception there as well, because it makes the house feel bigger than it actually is. We place a smaller one up front, so when you're looking at it, it really makes the house feel bigger than it actually is. In terms of lighting over here, we don't have an actual floodlight on the house directly. The house is just catching light from the various floodlights out here. So each tree that we have out here has a floodlight in front of it that is casting an uplight. They're either green or blue. On this side we have a green and a blue one. And then this tree back here behind her has a green uplight on it. And the house is painted white, so it catches the light from the floodlights really well. That's a good thing about using white paint. And then we have a blue light on the voodoo tree as well. We actually have, I didn't want to put a direct light on her because I didn't want her to have too much light on her. I wanted her to be creepy and for people to have to look at her for a long period of time to actually get a good look at her. And I love how this looks. We have a flickering flame bulb that's casting a light onto her. So it's creating some really cool shadow effects. And it's really hard to get a good look at her. So every time you see her, she looks creepy because there's a flickering light, so you can't really get a good look at her. I'll back up to the road and show you. As you can see, it's just creating a super cool glowing effect on her, and it looks super creepy. So yeah, that's going to do it for this part of the swamp. The main idea is that there's a swamp witch that is out in the swamp living in this creepy, dilapidated house. Filled out with trees, a voodoo tree. I'm super happy with how this section came out. And then as we move on to the left side of the swamp here, originally I didn't have anything here, but I feel like it needed to have something because it was pretty empty. So I have Deep Sea Diver from Blows a couple years ago on the bridge there to really fill out the middle section of this theme. Love how he looks. He's a super cool prop. It's an awesome idea that they had. Then as we move closer to the left side of the swamp, we come up on the Gordon Bait and Tackle Shop. Gordon is a small town that we live in, so that's why it's called Gordon Bait and Tackle Shop. I love how this scene came out. We obviously had to have a tackle shop worker here working the tackle shop. So what we've done, we put a dummy out here standing up, and we have the worm food mask by Von Jekyll Art. The guy makes some super cool masks, so if you haven't ever seen his work, make sure you go check him out. I have a couple masks from him. This one's called Worm Food. Super swampy looking, has worms coming out of his mouth. We've actually covered this whole thing in vines to make him look overgrown, almost like he's come out of the water. We have a yellow raincoat, because I feel like a yellow raincoat is a very classic swampy look that people out in the swamp wear, and we've added some black and moss green spray paint on the coat to make it look wet and weathered. We've made a live bait sign with some wood that we had laying around. As you can see, it says live baits, worms 10 cents, eyeballs 25 cents, fingers 50 cents, and maggots 75 cents. That was all done with the Sharpie. We actually painted this wood with a dark brown and added a little bit of black on top and some moss green to make it look darker, which makes it look wet and weathered. And then we've added some fish netting on here as well with some bobbers. Looks super cool, looks super swampy with the net and the bobbers. Then we have some weeds coming out of the wood there, and then we have moss in various places as well. And then to the left side of the live bait sign, we have a severed head that is hanging from a hook. Very cool, swampy looking hook there. And then we have some fishing crates that he is leaning on. So he's hanging from the top, leaning down, hitting the crates. We have moss and weeds on the crates as well. Forgot to mention we have a lantern right there, much like the worker is holding a lantern. And then over here, another severed head hanging by a hook, almost like he is selling these heads as bait in the swamp before you enter. And then we have the Gordon Bait and Tackle Shop sign. Same thing, that was painted with a brush and black paint. Painted the wood with dark brown to make it look wet. I love how it came out. Looks cool with the severed head hanging beside of it. And then we have a severed arm on the right side of the Gordon Bait and Tackle Shop. Let me back up and get you a road view. We've added random weeds and vines and Spanish moss all over this thing. It's on the bottom railing here. It's on the top, coming down and hanging down. Looks super cool hanging above the tackle shop worker there. Yeah, we just wanted to look super swampy, super overrun, and these weeds were perfect for that. I love how this tackle shop scene came out. And then as we continue to move left, this is the end of the swamp, and this is where we've built the swamp shack, which is one of my favorite builds that we've ever done. This is always one of my favorite scenes. It looks super cool, and it looks super swampy. Get your view from the side here. Always love how it looks at night with the lighting. And speaking of lighting, one thing I forgot to mention about the tackle shop was we have a blue fire and ice light that is casting a glow up on the live bait sign. And it actually looks like it's moving, creates a moving effect, which is awesome because it looks like water moving. So that's a super cool detail. I love how that looks at night. But we'll get back to the shack now. Like I mentioned earlier, I just uploaded a behind the scenes build of this shack. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go back and watch it. Super cool build. But yeah, we built a full-size swamp shack for the swamp this year. It looks super cool. We have the fisherman sitting there with his lantern that he's laid down. We have an alligator sitting there, bound corpse from Distortions Unlimited, on the porch with some various fishing accessories like a tackle box, a minnow trap, some fishing crates with netting on top, super creepy looking shovel. We have the flickering lights from Spirit Halloween, creating a very cool old and dilapidated look. Much like the tackle shop, we've actually added a ton of vines and weeds and Spanish moss on the roof, on the railing, and on the sides. So it makes it look super overgrown, gives it a very nice swampy look. And to the left of the shack, we've built a little fire pit area. I just made a circle with rocks, put some wood that I painted black on top to make it look burned and charred. And then the light is just a floodlight that is on a red/orange color setting. It looks like a fire burning right there. And usually I have a smoke ultrasonic fog mister that is creating smoke, but currently it's out of water, so it's not working right now. That's a super cool effect that is setting beside the shack, much like the fisherman has created a fire. So I love that effect. It looks super cool. We have a fog machine placed under the shack that's creating a very misty and swampy marsh atmosphere out here. As you can see, it's hanging around. Always love that effect. I'll back up and get you a full view. I'll try to get you a view of the entire swamp here from the side. Hopefully it will fit in frame. There we go. We got the swamp shack, the tackle shop, and the witch house down there. Well guys, I think that's going to do it. I've covered every scene that we built in this section. I love how it turned out. I love doing a swamp theme. We try to be as detailed as possible when creating these scenes. Some of these builds we stepped out of our comfort zone, but we got through it and it was worth it in the end. Like I said, if you're interested in the builds of these different facades, go watch those videos. I've also uploaded the full 2025 Halloween yard hunt walkthrough video. So if you want to see that, make sure you go back and watch it. The full breakdown and deep dive of the funeral scene down there will be coming very soon. But with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.